Game day.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? What a game. What a game. We got Caleb, we got Quentin, and we got a win. 27-20 over the Jags. With a limpy, gimpy Patrick Mahomes. And he still pulled it off. What's up, guys?
Doing fantastic. How are you guys doing tonight?
So happy. So happy.
It almost like, I don't want to say, that's the expectation, but, this is sort of how we felt. No, this is exactly how we thought this game was going to go, right? We thought this game was going to be close, and then in the fourth quarter that the Chiefs were just going to pull away, and that's what happened. It's what happened in the first game. This is, the 27-20. They kicked that late field goal to make it a one-possession game. But
I'm sorry, but I didn't expect this game to go this way. I did not expect Mahomes to be rolled over on. I didn't expect him to come back out and play the way he did. I just didn't expect that to happen.
That's fair.
I expected a little more competitive game, but hey, man, we got a history-making backup quarterback.
Yeah.
We have.
Yep, he has. Don't lie.
Without fail, a history-making quarterback, a history-making tight end. I mean, 1, 2, 3. A history-making head coach, by the way.
Yep.
He's now
2 different franchises.
Yeah. He is now the tied with Tom Landry with the most playoff wins, and that puts him second all-time. He now has 20 playoff wins, and he's only behind Bill Belichick. So.
Yeah. That's awesome to hear. I mean,
What's
just
up,
to see kind of everything
Scott?
they've done, just continue to battle through. I knew it was going to be a tough game. I just not think Mahomes was going to get hurt. But
hey,
hopefully it's okay.
I was just glad when they texted me and said that there was, it was negative, which I told you on the text, and he'd be back out there. And I was just happy that he came back out and played as well as he did. Look, I was nervous for a second or two because he didn't look right. But, man, a little bit of work in a training room can do you good. And it did him some good. He still was hurting. He still felt it, but he didn't feel it nearly as much, and he went out there and played his game. So it's all that really matters. He was doing some magical stuff before that injury, too.
Oh, yeah. He was just running every single play. And I was like, oh, okay, he's getting close. And then, I mean, I don't know if you guys think that play was dirty, because some people are saying as soon as he tackled him, he came down on his knee. I'm kind of the coin flip, because you could say yes and look at it, and you could say no and look at it and have 2 different results.
I don't think so.
Sometimes things are going to happen like that, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so, because one, the grass, the grass was cleared and everything, but it has been raining for a while. We saw that there was some chunks coming up and guys were slipping. It has been raining all day, so I think there's that. And also, if you watch anything in slow motion, it can look pretty bad, right? That's the explanation we have when you could call pass interference on a lot of plays, just because you slow everything down frame by frame. You could make any argument that you want. So I don't think it was dirty. I don't think there was intent behind it. I just think that it was really a bang bang play. It was just right there, and it only looked bad.
Cisco, I would have said yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
But that wasn't Cisco, so I put out a tweet that said the only way they could that they could win now is by hurting him. And I meant
that didn't age well.
I meant after he came back, but everybody assumed that it was because he got injured. It wasn't a matter of that. It was the fact that if he comes back, I figured they were going to go after him. And they tried, but our offensive line held.
Oh yeah, the Jaguars are a dirty team. They've been a dirty team since the Chiefs been beating up on them every other year.
Yeah,
every time the Chiefs play, there's been some type of skirmish or someone's gotten hurt.
Yeah, and Cisco played really dirty in that first game.
I'm not going to call the Jaguars a dirty team. I don't think think Peterson Quentin is that kind of coach.
I'm not saying him. I'm just saying sometimes since the players, they do a little too extra, in my opinion, for what I see.
Especially on the
not
defensive
all of
side
them, but just some of them.
Yeah, especially on the defensive side of the ball, they can be dirty. But there's like 3 players that they have that can play just dirty.
Yeah, I'm not blaming the Lions for what Ndamukong Suh did to Aaron Rodgers or anything like that. I'm just think that there are some bad players in this league that tend to do things, and So I'm not going to say that it's the Jaguars' fault, and I'm not even going to call that play against Mahomes dirty. I think that's just a football
that
thing,
happens. Yeah.
and that that's just one of those things. It's like when a quarterback, when they get tackled and their head gets bounced on the ground.
Yeah.
That's just one of the things that happens. Or when a quarterback throws the ball and he hits his fingers on the helmet of the defender that's right there, and he hurts his finger. Those are just parts of being a quarterback. You're going to get in those situations. It is unfortunate, but Mahomes came back out. I mean, you could see the just emotion that he had when they told him that he was going to go into the locker room and get there. He immediately would come over and he's like, wrap my leg up. And he saw everybody was lining up, and he ran right back out onto the field and handed the ball off and waited till after the first quarter to get his leg wrapped up. I mean, the guy's a pure competitor, and I mean, he was at some points he was literally playing on one foot out there, and you can just see the will to win. If that guy's breathing, he wants to be out on the football field. And I just hope that my big concern now is just the swelling, and I hope the swelling doesn't get too bad over the week. And I trust this training staff to where if there's anything that they can do to help him get ready for the championship game, no matter who we're facing, no matter where we're playing, that Mahomes will be ready to play that game.
From what I heard today, that it wasn't anything major. It wasn't really a major sprain. It was enough to put a lot of pain in there, but a lot of times the swelling will go down with movement, and that's what he did. He moved a lot on it, and they, of course, did their magic in the locker room to help that out. But from what I heard, he should be pretty close to 100% by next week.
What about Snead? They said he went to the medical tent. Did he have a concussion? Do we know anything about him yet?
They thought he did, but so far they haven't said whether he did or didn't.
Okay, because I don't think he went back on the field.
I'm reading a text right now. So.
And we'll hear more from Andy Reid, too, when he does his press conference, just to get that. It'll be interesting to see if Mahomes ends up on the injury report on Wednesday. But the team does not have to say anything public up until Wednesday. So we're not going to get any updates, really, from Andy Reid from the press conference later today. He'll just talk about the ankle, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets an MRI done on his ankle just to see if there's any other ligament damage involved in there, stuff you can't see on an X-ray. But the fact that they did the X-ray and he was comfortable, the Chiefs were comfortable with him coming back out, is a lot of positive news. And we did see him moving around. I mean, after that injury, when he came back, he ran for a first down. So,
and to say he adjusted and figured out, I think it kind of made him be more of a pocket passer, where it worked out for him. And just kind of see everything they did as a whole. This team really stepped up. They stepped up in a big way. And I know we all said this on the podcast on Thursday, but the Jaguars are not a team to take down lightly. They're going to be a tough team. And the Chiefs showed up, did their thing, and won. So I'm happy because the Jaguars are going to come at you. I mean, looking at these highlights right now, next season they probably going to make a run. They're going to be up there. So it's not going to be no Chiefs going to win 48-12. I mean, the Jaguars came out there and played. Now, would it be a different story if Mahomes was healthy all the way? Probably, but that's not what we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. And from what, like I said, we're lucky enough that I get updates from the medical people there of somebody I know, and from what I understand, he's not in bad shape. So he's injured, but he's not completely there's nothing there that's going to keep him out of playing next week and playing at a really high level. So we're kind of lucky in that aspect. Now the Chiefs will probably come out and say something just to throw off whoever we're playing, but that's fine. They can do what they want. That's pretty normal for any team to do. But they'll keep him off of it for a while and just keep it, do a little rehab on it, and he should be fine. But what a win. I mean, you can't ask for much more. If this didn't solidify that he is the best quarterback in football, nothing will. Because he came out and played through a lot of pain, and even though it may not be
well, I will say that Falcons have not done anything in a while, and 28-3 and all those different things.
Matters, but okay.
It is what it is. I mean, I'm happy my team is able to make it a 5 straight AFC Championship game, so I'll just go from there.
Yeah, there's only one other team that's done better than that, and that's the New England Patriots. So, with that being said, came out of nowhere. But anyway, he seems like he's going to be good. And look, man, you can't ask for much more than what you've got with Kelsey, with Mahomes, with Snead. I mean, Snead played out of his shoes today. I'm sad you guys lost Julio too, but in the same aspect, he's not the same player he used to be. He's slowed down a whole lot, and his injuries kind of
caught up to him. Yeah, it always sucks to see a star wide receiver. It's going to happen to everybody eventually. Like when, Justin Jefferson slows down, it's going to be bad. There are just a few wide receivers in the NFL that, stick out like Julio Jones did. Yeah.
And here's the thing. If this helps this guy any, the Chiefs did look at him, and he didn't pass the eye test as far as the injury was concerned. But, it kind of, he's still playing. He's just not playing at a very high level.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I think this might be his last year, or this one that just passed, I should say, will be his last year for him. But who knows? I mean, he's 30. I think he's 32 now, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's about that time for him. He's, if he was an injury-free wide receiver for the most part, I'd say, okay, he could play a few more years, but he's just not. Kelsey looks like somebody, and anybody out there that ever says to me again that he can't block,
yeah,
I might
he can block.
Flyer miles on you.
He can block.
He can block. He laid a lot of blocks today, and what I love about it is people don't really see what he does, but that chip block that he does gets him open every single time. It gets him open every time, and that's what I think people just completely blow off the fact when they say he can't block. It's not a matter of him not being able to block. He usually makes a chip block to where he throws off a defender or two and then opens himself up in case a pass is coming his way, which we saw it happen 3 times today. So if anybody says he can't block, yeah, go ahead and put the ball down because you're smoking way too much weed.
The thing that really benefits is that if you're in zone coverage, for example, if Travis Kelsey looks like he's going to stay into block, right? He does that chip block. Well, that zone defender that was going to inch a little bit more towards Travis Kelsey to sort of take away those little curl routes or those little hitch routes or anything like that. Well, that zone defender is now going to shift towards the wide receivers that are in that. That's why Kansas City runs a lot of those trip sets, and Travis Kelsey will run a lot of those, 3 sets, and he always seems to be open on that because that defender is put in that spot where it's like, what is he supposed to do? This is why when I talk about offensive schemes, the way to build an offensive scheme is to put one defender in a position no matter what they do, they can't win. That's the way you want to build an offense. When we talk about scheming people open, that's what they're talking about. You're talking about putting one defender in a position to where no matter what decision he makes, he's going to lose. That's why early in the game, we saw Mahomes run that pitch route where he's going to run, and then instead of running the ball himself, he pitches it to Pacheco. It's the same principle there. It's whether that defensive end or linebacker, he either has to go after Mahomes will pitch it out, or he goes after the running back, and Mahomes just keeps it and gets the first down anyway. So that's how you scheme guys open, and that's how you scheme almost 3 yards right there.
Go ahead, Caleb.
And I was going to say, and that's one of the great things Andy Reid has done is because the scheme has really helped them in all these different facets. Only thing I say concerned is a 3rd and 1 situation. You got Pacheco, 7th-round pick who has done so much more than we thought he was going to do. Let him run the ball on those. I don't know why. They just are struggling on 3rd and 1. Like the offensive line is from the year they lost the Bucs. I don't know what the problem is.
Well, I will say this. Scheming the way Quentin explained it is all good and great as long as you have the players that are able to conduct their play in that scheme. They'll be able to carry that scheme out. I mean, you could take a handful of guys in this league out of the 1,625 players that are in it and say they could probably do that over and over and over again and get away with it. It depends on your coach. It depends on the players. It depends on their football IQ. You can see a lot of teams in the league that try it. They just don't get that far.
Yeah, we see that play, the Travis Kelsey play, be so successful because Travis Kelsey's ability to get, yards after the catch. That's what makes his play so successful is that, you could get, some of the other tight ends in the league to run those similar plays, but they're not getting the extra 15 yards afterwards that Travis Kelce's able to get. And he sort of takes that skill set up to the next level. And once he gets open, he's able to catch the ball and run with it afterwards. So that's what makes Travis Kelce so special. And he can block. He's one of the nimblest guys in the league right now, because you don't think that he should be able to create that much space, but he's able to take advantage of it, and I think that's one of the things that makes him so good at what he does.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I don't know that there's ever been a tight end that is as versatile as him. I mean, you can almost put Tony Gonzalez in that group, but he still wasn't as versatile, I don't think. I mean, I watched him play for 12 straight years. I just don't see it. I don't know. Kelsey's just he's a different animal.
He's a different player, just doing things that we did not expect to see. Now, here's something I want you guys to think about real quick. Jalen Watson and Pacheco, 7th-round picks. Did Veach do his homework or what to find these guys? Do you guys think Veach do his homework?
Yeah, he did.
He did his homework. That's phenomenal. You have 2 7th-round picks who showed up big for this team today when all things looked very gloomy.
Yeah, the thing about Pacheco is my favorite part about that, and there's an interview that Brett Veach did, and he said before the draft even started that because of the COVID year and guys stayed back for an extra year of eligibility, that there was going to be a running back in the 6th or 7th round or an undrafted free agent that's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher, because it was so stacked this year during that draft time. And that's exactly what happened. If Pacheco was starting for this team on week 1 instead of Clyde, I fully believe that Pacheco would have been a 1,000-yard rusher. And that's the sort of homework and the scouting team that whole department is able to come up with, is now instead of investing, a lot of money or a heavy draft capital into one position, you can go out and get a guy from Rutgers, and he's able to come in and make this offense work. I love the way Pacheco was. Pop Pacheco, because he pops right back up after taking a hit. He's exciting to watch, and he works so well into this offense. He's a nice change of pace. We talk about that a lot, and just moving away from McKinnon, who's a blocker, a receiver out of the backfield, and it's just, let me give this ball to Pacheco and let me see what he can do. He bounces off guys when he's trying to make tackles and is somehow able to gain an extra 3-4 yards. He's an impressive guy.
And I think because of that as a whole, it has really helped this offense. Like, when we needed to get a first down, especially in the first half, Pacheco picked it up. And I think that's going to be even more reliable. And Quinn, I know you and I talked about this a little bit when we went to the to training camp, but we were saying, like, there's going to be a game that the Chiefs are going to need to run the ball and pick up those yards. And for the most part, they did that with, number one, the offensive line, and with Pacheco run the ball. And I think because of that, we're seeing a whole other aspect of the Chiefs playbook has now opened up.
And when we look at this offensive line, right, we give a lot of crap to the tackles on this team, and I think, justifiably so, right? I've called out both tackles, Orlando Brown, even though Brown's gotten better over the year. The center of this line, the center and 2 guards on this team are great. And if you're going to run the ball, being able to run the ball down the middle is an effective way to gain those yards, and that's what the Chiefs are able to do. This middle of the line is so big and so physical. You're able to create holes, and when you give a guy like Pacheco just enough room to get through the line, he's going to be able to get some big yards, and we saw that today. And when your starting quarterback goes down and you need to lean on your run game more, Pacheco's the kind of guy you can lean on to move the ball down the field. And Pacheco is why the Chiefs were able to go 98 yards and score a much-needed touchdown to add some separation between the Jaguars and the Chiefs. It's because the center
I'm not
of
going to
this
take him a whole lot from Henne on that run, though.
Oh, no, yeah. We can talk about Henne and what he was able to do, too. Creed is good. There was a hashtag going around last year where Creed is good, but Trey Smith and just this whole center of the line, and really the whole offensive line today, I would say, played pretty well. But Tooney and everybody played so well.
Well, I will say this. This said Creed was a killer today. He was a killer. Creed played out of his shoes today. everybody has played so well. But going back to Henne really quick, what's going on, Chiefs Live? Henne made some really accurate passes, very good decisions. Yeah, I mean they ran the ball a lot more in while he was on the field, but he still made some great passes and some accurate passes, and he was lucky enough to have a group of guys that could catch him. But you can't take anything away from the guy because he's 37 years old, he's played 18 snaps, and comes out and I mean right now I think that's the longest drive in playoff history of 98 yards, is what they said. So that's like history making for a backup quarterback. I don't know. We're a reckon. We're a team to be reckoned with, and it's going to be hard for anybody to beat us. I don't know who we're going to be playing next week. I have a feeling it's going to be Cincy. But,
Me too.
Yeah. And a lot of people are picking the Bills, which is okay. I mean, you can pick whoever you want, but I have a feeling it's going to be Cincy. They're a better team. I'm sorry, but they are. They're a better all-around football team. I can't say they have a better defense as far as a core group of players. I could say they're better coached than Buffalo is on their defensive side of the ball. That's what I can say right now. Stats can be what they are, but if you look at it from all aspects, stats are one part of it. I think Cincinnati is a better coached defensive team than the Bills are. And without Von Miller in there, that's going to be difficult for them to win against Cincy. That's just my opinion. But we'll have to see how it goes. And Joe Burrow is no joke. I mean, as much as he irritates me and he's a little arrogant, he's no joke. So they're going to have a tough time against him, I think. I think the Bills are going to have a tough time. And I think Allen's going to get frustrated and start throwing errant balls. And when that happens, interceptions will be had. Man, I mean, if Eli Apple gets an interception on him, I'm going to pass out because he shouldn't get an interception on a Girl Scout. So, I mean, it's going to be pretty crazy to watch that game. But we'll have to see how it plays out. All I care about right now is that 5 straight, another year of hosting the AFC Championship game. That's 3 out of the 5 years.
We've hosted all of them.
Well, I should say
it's been all 5.
Seed. Yeah, it should say the number 1 seed. We were this is the 3rd year out of 5 that we were the number 1 seed. So,
yeah. See, and this is the important of the bye week, man. Yeah. Only having to win 1 game to get to the championship game instead of having to go through 2. With football that can bounce so awkwardly, and with one weird bounce, it can win you or lose you a game. It's just so important of why the bye week is important. It's not just the mental and physical break you get from football. It is simply the fact that the statistics are in your favor. And I know that last year both 1 seeds got bounced out of the playoffs, but we knew that Tennessee was not a great team last year, and it's just so important to be able to get that 1 seed. And I want to talk about that interception that Watson had.
What a play!
What I tweeted this out. I was like, that needs to be on the next edition of You Got Mossed. I don't know if they still do that on ESPN, but they got to bring it back just for
they
that
had
play.
Do that. They do that.
Wow, what?
That was a great
play.
The
guy, he's stuck. We saw corners and linebackers were dropping passes all day, and then for him to just stick his hand up and just snatch it out of the air was amazing. It was so impressive.
Yeah, what a play! I mean, he sealed the deal. Look, people could say what they want. I mean, we did rely on rookies for them this entire season. We relied on rookies in the secondary. We relied on 1 rookie on the defensive line. But to rely on guys like that come out and play just, I don't know, fundamental football and are able to make crazy plays like that, it's just phenomenal in my opinion. I don't know. I got to tell you, when we got pinned down at the 2-yard line, when Henne came in, I was scared, to be honest with you. I was getting a little nervous right then. I wasn't real sure whether Andy was going to allow Mahomes to come back out. I didn't expect Henne to march at 98 yards down the field. I really didn't. And I was pretty happy that it went that direction. But how about, I mean, even our defense played so well today. And how about poor Chris Jones? This
Yeah.
poor guy,
So
man.
close.
No, this is a
Several
positive.
times.
This is a positive show. We're going to talk about how even though the Chiefs didn't end up with that many sacks, they were putting him under pressure and knocking him off his feet, and that's exactly what we talked about earlier in the week. We said that if the Chiefs are going to be successful, one of the things they got to do is they have to get creative with their blitzes, and that's what he did. There were so many bad passes thrown today, and it was not just because. It wasn't because of the sacks. It was because they were getting in his face, and Chris Jones was constantly in his lap. No, he didn't get his sack, but man, that guy was making bad plays happen because of the pressure he was getting.
How about Watson coming up through there and just, I mean,
laying it, putting the stick hit on him. He flipped that analog stick forward, man. He drugged him.
And then Thornhill, the same thing earlier, knocked out their best receiver, Kirk. So, I mean, that really helped. I mean, they were just this defense was playing on another level for the most part.
They were at the beginning of the game. I don't know if you guys noticed, but they were letting them get away with some runs, and I was like, man, what's going on? Because we don't normally allow that.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, they tightened that up, and everything was good to go. And man, you can't say enough about Colin Saunders.
No.
This guy is an absolute freak of nature.
He's terrifying.
He is terrifying. I guarantee you, Lawrence went gray when he saw Saunders, trucking at a 4 or 5 speed at him. There was nothing he could do but just pray. And
same thing with Noddy.
Noddy did the same thing.
He got knocked out twice, basically. Boom.
Yeah. I was like, wow. Saunders, it's weird. He's such an oddly shaped individual because his legs are so short. But, man, those things move like a Scooby-Doo cartoon.
He does, man.
He's athletic.
It cracks me up to watch him just go.
If any Chief was chasing me, I think Colin Saunders chasing me would be the most terrifying. Because you think you have some time to react, but you don't.
No. No.
Chris Jones coming at you, he's going to get on you quick. But Colin Saunders is going to be there so much faster. The guy is so athletic, and I think he might be, between him and Noddy, they might be one of the most underrated Chiefs on this defensive line, and just the Chiefs in general, and their ability to get back there. And you don't have to get pressure on a quarterback all day as an individual, right? Mm-hmm. You just need to come in and make 1 or 2 plays a game. And Colin Saunders and Derek Noddy earned their paycheck today because both of them got they got their blitzes. They were able to get behind the line and were able to wreak some havoc today. But Colin Saunders, how do you not block that man? How do you not even you don't get an arm on him?
I was surprised. He just came through and I was like, whoa, okay. I was very surprised. I think that's his second career sack ever. First playoff, but I think that's his second career sack. Hughes played really well. And then Noddy, the same thing. They had no one blocking him. I would say this defensive line, whoever they're going to be playing against next week is going to be in for a world of trouble. I'll tell you that.
It doesn't matter which team it is. If it ends up being the Bills, I can honestly see Josh Allen having baby fits on the field while he's laying down on his back. I can see that happening because he does it pretty much every other game. It's almost like it's like a tradition now. You just see Josh Allen throwing fits, hitting somebody in the chest when a ref's not looking. I could just see it coming. But
we are forgetting about one player.
Who's that?
Bucker. He didn't miss a single kick.
Didn't miss a damn thing.
Didn't miss a single kick.
I tweeted out that Bucker has the same amount of PATs made as Brett Maher.
You're not lying.
That was after the first PAT, and then after I sent it, my brother looked at me and was like, "You may be eating those words later on today, but I'm happy that we didn't." He knocked in a 50-yard field goal, which that's the one he struggled with all year. Then he was able to knock in a couple PATs and a second shorter field goal. And remember, he hit a PAT that was from a field goal distance because of the false start, too. So
he ended up kicking it from 30.
Yeah, so coming in clutch today, Butker also earned his paycheck because, once he hit that 50-yard field goal, I was like, okay, we're good. He's got this today. He has the right mindset, and that ankle is looking better than it did even last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, when he planted on that first kick, his foot even slid a little, and he drilled it. It was a perfect straight down the middle. And when I watched his foot slide, I thought, oh, man. But he gripped it, and he just, I don't know, man. He looks like he's back to himself. So he had a little rough year, and I mean, I guess if you want to consider 75% during the regular season after being out 4 or 5 games, a rough year, whatever. But he came back, and he came back strong in the playoffs, and that's what matters. And as long as we keep doing what we're doing, there's no stopping us. We're just going to be in the Super Bowl again. It is what it is. So, did get a text. Snead seems to be okay. I'm not really sure what the heck he's talking about, but let me look here really quick. I'm trying to read.
Okay. I want to talk about some of the linebacker play we saw today. I mean, this is a team win, right? Every position group, offense, defense, everybody
awesome.
seemed to have at least one play. Willie Gay had that really good hit in the backfield that ended up with a tackle for loss. Nick Bolton, once again, was all over the field, probably the biggest snub of the Pro Bowl because he's just a guy, man. I mean, he's a beast. So Nick Bolton had his impact. Thornhill was coming up with some big hits today. I don't know what he was told at some point during the week, but man, Thornhill came out to play.
He was hitting.
He was coming out hard, and everybody seemed to have their moment in the game on both the offense and defense side of the ball. So there's just so much to talk about here on the show.
Well, just real quick, Snead should be fine. For everything they've seen so far, he's fine. So should be ready to go next week. I want to talk about Snead really quick. I have to bring this up because, it's contract year. And look, you have to re-sign him. You have to figure out how to re-sign him.
Yeah.
He is right now top 2 in the league. You cannot deny him a contract with us, and he's going to get a fat contract, and it'll be with the Chiefs. They're not going to let him go. He's like, I mean, if you want to get rid of somebody, you better find somebody else because it definitely can't be him.
Yeah, I think that there's a good chance he gets the Charvarius Ward contract, that $14 million, which is on the higher end for corners because he is so much more than just a corner. He's a slot corner, and in today's NFL, wide receivers don't just stay on the outside anymore. In fact, a lot of the times your number one wide receivers move in on the inside because it's generally where a lot of the mismatches happen, right? And Snead prevents that from happening.
He does.
By being
and I got to tell you, he reminds me so much of a way better version of Kendall Fuller. Because Kendall Fuller could play both positions. He just wasn't as good in press as he was in the slot. For some reason, he was phenomenal in the slot. He could do both. Snead he's got an awareness that you just can't really match. And for a 4-year guy, is this his 4th year? Yeah, 4th year. You can't really match that. I mean, it's hard to find a guy that can play that well this early on in his career. How is he going to be next year and the year after and the year after that, or when he's 29? And if he stays relatively injury-free and keeps his body in good shape, you got a guy right there for a good 6 more years that's going to dominate for you.
And we haven't even talked about his ability to blitz yet. Like, that's another part of his game. I wouldn't be surprised if next year, assuming he's on the team, he ends up playing some safety position too. Because a lot of people don't know that in college, Snead played safety for his first couple of years. And the only reason he plays corner now is because his last year in college, the football team needed a corner. They needed a corner. And so he was asked to switch position to corner, and he did. And, you see a lot of that safety style play when he comes up off the blitz or, while he's playing that slot position. So he's able to get handsy without getting called. You don't see a lot of illegal contact when it comes to Snead. And I think a lot of that comes from his days playing safety. And it's just a great skill set that you have. Look, the Chiefs have got to pay. You have to pay some people. And I think that Snead is going to be one of those guys that's going to ask for a contract, and the Chiefs are going to be more than happy to give it to him because he's so versatile and he's so important to this defense.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many of them on the defense that aren't. I mean, that you have to say, okay, this is the guy you have to keep a core group. You don't have a choice. And if you want, it's a little different in certain positions, but you want to hang on to the guys that are your core players. You have to have some veteran presence. You have to have all of that. That's why I'm adamant about keeping Chris Jones. And to be honest with you, I'm adamant about keeping Frank Clark. They restructure both of those guys. Hang on to them, because you're not going to find another Chris Jones. Sorry,
No.
but you're just not. And Frank Clark plays a huge role. People can say what they want, but he plays a very, very integral role in this defense. He is constantly in the backfield. He's constantly creating havoc. He's always doing something.
I mean,
People scheme for him.
He had a sack. He had 2 tackles for loss, a quarterback hit today, and he forced He's really good in run defense, which I know is not the most exciting thing to talk about, but he helped bounce ETN back inside.
Yeah.
So Frank Clark is, he's the guy that earned his paycheck today, and it was just like I said, man, this is an all-around a quality team win for everybody.
And one thing to add that Frank Clark just said in an interview, I forgot the guy's name. He's on NFL Network. A guy talked to him last time. But basically what he said is that if Cincinnati wins, then it seems like Cincinnati wins, they come here. The Bills win, you go over there. And Frank Clark, quote unquote, said with a few extras, I don't care, bring him. So he's ready. He's ready. Frank Clark played very, very well. For anyone who's looking at the video, it's on our Twitter page, first tweet when you scrolled up. So
playoff Frank, man. There's just something about stepping up and during these few games towards the end, and like I said, that sack that he got was big. I mean, anytime you can get tackles for loss, which he did a couple of times today, you've got a team in the Jaguars that don't have a lot of big play potential, right? They don't have a superstar on the wide receiver tight end spot. So anytime you can keep them behind the sticks to move them out of that, to keep them away from what they want to do by getting them in second and third and long, you're going to be successful. And that goes for pretty much every team in the NFL, even next week, whether we're facing Cincinnati or Buffalo. If you force them into situations, third and long, second and long, you're going to be more successful in those positions. And getting tackles for losses or preventing the running back for whichever team we end up facing from bouncing outside and keeping it towards your core. So guys like Willie Gay and Nick Bolton can help clean up some of these tackles. That's one of the ways that a defense can be successful. You're going to slow guys down, and the more plays that an offense has to run, the more likely they are to have some drop passes and to make mistakes that can either lead to turnovers, or you're going to force teams to punt the ball. And it comes down to making some of those little plays or some of those little things that guys like Frank Clark end up doing. And that's why keeping these guys together are important, and why I expect some of these guys to, re-sign or to have their contract extended, because guys like Frank Clark, while he gets a lot of rap from the fans, I think that he is a quality player on this team.
Oh, I agree. I think he, at his age, they assume that he's going to either, I guess, decline or whatever the case. Look, this man has been through enough in his life, especially his football life, over the last 4 years. I don't think he's declining anytime soon. I think he's going to continue just to get better. He feels the difference right now of how he's played through this year. And what do you say? He says, Reset said, we need Snead and CJ back. He said, yeah. And then he said, this is Reset, everybody. He says, hopefully we can get Miles Murphy from Clemson. Pretty good one. Yeah, we actually did discuss it. I apologize. I'm in the middle of doing 3 things at once, getting texts from different people and taking a picture of a jersey that everybody wants to win, but, you got to join the show. Anyway, I think with this defense and the way with Nick Bolton today, number one, he was injured twice. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but he got up slow twice, came back and played really hard. The one thing I will say about the Jaguars is if they were playing anybody else, they would have had a hell of a lot better shot at moving on. If they were playing anybody else in the divisional round, it would have been a different story. But they just played a very tough football team, that doesn't lose in the playoffs, that has a lot of playoff experience, that doesn't normally lose in the playoffs. And when you're healthy, we went into this game pretty much healthy. I mean, we were without McCole Hardman as far as being healthy. Everybody else was pretty on point. So it'd be hard pressed for anybody to come in and play a divisional round against us at our house, even though we score less points at our house than we do on the road. Although today
the defense plays better at home, though.
They do, but a crazy thing was brought up by one of the field announcers is that the Chiefs averaged 35 points a game at home during the playoffs. Actually, 35.5 points over their 5-year span with Mahomes. So, I mean, I guess if you don't score as much during the regular season, you're sure as heck going to score it in the playoffs with the Chiefs. I mean, look, they scored 27 points today with a gimpy Mahomes. I don't know. I mean, you really can't ask for much more. So,
Caleb, you got any final thoughts before we get into our MVPs?
Only I'll say is this: just what you have to keep the core, and what the guys of the Chiefs have gotten, specifically these rookies, in the last 3 years. Every time there's a redraft, these guys are taken in the first round. Sneed's like a top 10 pick. We see the same thing has happened with Willie Gay, McDuffie. I mean, you're just kind of looking to see how this team's been built over the years. I mean, TFL teams are better be scared than to have guys like Frank Harkin's veteran presence like ready to go and continue to help push them in the direction they need to go. I'm very hopeful for this future. I think it's going to be very great for the Chiefs as a whole.
He said, Reset says he wants to see a ball thrown from Mahomes to Hopkins.
We can get to that here in a few weeks, but
yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. So,
okay, you guys want to go offense or defensive first?
It doesn't matter.
We can start with offense.
All right, Caleb, who you got for your offensive MVP?
I'm going to mind Pacheco because he really stepped on that drive when the Chiefs really needed him to. And I know the easy answer is say Mahomes, but I'm going to say Pacheco. Just saw what he was able to do, and he was able to pick up yards. The Chiefs haven't had a running back him like that in a long time. To see what he's able to do, I can't wait to see what he's going to continue to progress moving forward in the future. Because he did some really good things, especially when the Chiefs needed him in really big key moments.
Yeah, I would say Pacheco's, if you wouldn't have said it, I probably would have, but I'm going to give it to Chad Henne because he stepped up at a divisional round game and went 98 yards for a touchdown. Granted he had Pacheco there, but Henne made some passes for some first downs and a touchdown. So I have to give it to him. I mean, these guys had 18 snaps, and he comes in and scores a touchdown on a 98-yard record-breaking touchdown in a divisional game. So I gotta give it to him for right now.
Yeah, I think Isaiah Pacheco, 12 carries, 95 yards, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy that they were able to lean on when Chad Henne was in. But for Chad Henne to come in and throw some balls, they didn't ask him to do a whole lot, but he was able to manage the game. And that was so important at a time where you didn't know whether Mahomes was going to come back in or not. And you didn't even know the overall health of him. We saw him gimping around before Henne even came in. So, Chad Henne coming in, it reminds me of that game against the Browns where Mahomes went out with a concussion. I believe also in the divisional round. Stuff happens in the divisional round for Kansas City during the Mahomes era. But
24-point deficit in his injuries.
And and so for Chad Henne to be able to come in and keep the offense together, there was no panic. Everybody knew that there's like, okay, we have a job to do. Okay, we're going to figure out what's going on here in a few minutes. But, we got to make sure to maintain our separation from the Jaguars because, if Chad Henne would have thrown an interception or if we had to punt the ball from our own end zone, this game could have gone totally different, right? You're talking about the Jaguars could have got the ball back and, scored a touchdown. This is a different game. And Chad Henne was able to maintain control of the offense and go down the field and score. I don't know this, but I feel like off the top of my head, he's got to be the only quarterback with a regular season losing record, but a playoff winning record.
I think the only one that might be close to him is Nick Foles.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And if you're in the same category as playoff Nick Foles, then you're doing some good things. So, yeah, Pacheco and Chad Henne are good options. I feel like I feel like I'm just gonna give mine to Patrick Mahomes. I was thinking about doing Travis Kelce, but you know what? I haven't given my MVP to Patrick Mahomes all year, and usually it's because it's just the easy option. But the guy fought through a lot of pain. Okay, he was able to, he got this offense started. We were seeing some of the Mahomes magic, right? And he was doing his little jump pass, and he was moving the pocket, gets his ankle rolled up on, and he was able to just come back out really in that second half of the game, and was also able to maintain the offense. We didn't see a lot of, the Mahomes specialties, but even with that bad ankle, he was able to run for a first down. He was able to throw the ball deep down the field, right? And once again, keep the offense moving. They leaned on Pacheco more, and they were able to keep the offense rolling. And I think that's why Patrick Mahomes is the league MVP, because he's got that drive, he's got that competitiveness, and no matter the circumstance, he can play on one foot and still beat a pretty good playoff team. So I'm going to give mine to Patrick Mahomes just because he did something that I don't know if a lot of other guys can do. But my other one would be Travis Kelce. I mean, to have 2 touchdowns, 98 yards on the day, he's sort of my shout out just because I'm not going to give 2.
Yeah. I mean, they all played well. You can't really deny that. Let's go to defense.
Caleb, what you got?
All right, so my defensive player of the game, I'm going to give it to playoff Frank the Shark Clark. Stepped up, played phenomenal, did everything he could do, had a sack that was very pivotal and important part of the game. And based off his press conference I just heard a little bit ago, he is ready, and I think he's going to do some more things in this next playoff game coming up. So playoff Frank the Shark Clark has showed up and is ready to go, and I can't wait to see what else he's going to do.
Well, I have to give mine to Watson. That interception was just ridiculous. It shouldn't have happened. I mean, for all intents and purposes, that should have never been caught, and he did it. So, I have to give it to him.
I mean, the guy he mossed him, right?
Yeah, he did.
And 2 passes defended, all of his tackles, in the open field. Had that quarterback hit. I mean, Watson, I think you could easily say that that's the game of his career. I know he's a rookie, but to be able to step up in the playoffs and to not let the pressure get to you, I think speaks to a lot of this team and the ability to keep guys from letting the moment get to them, but also just him as an individual, right? You're a rookie, you're an Arrowhead, things are popping off, things are really going, and for you in a pivotal moment to really seal the game, right? That's what that interception did. It took away any real chance that the Jaguars had because you intercepted the ball when time was running out. They were out of timeouts at that point, and you're just able to take it away from them, give the Chiefs the ball, and move forward to be able to just really let the clock wind out. I know they ended up, kicking the field goal afterwards, but he really helped seal the game.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, I think you guys took a couple of the important ones right off the bat. So I don't know if there's another really clear MVP on the defense. I think I'm just going to have to give it to Snead. I know I've given it to Snead before in the past, and he didn't have a great box score game, I would say, but he was one of those guys that was all over the field, right? It's difficult for anybody to cover a wide receiver in the slot. Christian Kirk is a good wide receiver. I know we gave the Jaguars, including myself, a lot of crap for signing Christian Kirk to that contract, but he's turned into a good receiver, and I think that Snead was able to cover him in the slot, sent on a blitz, and was really able to maintain his positioning, and he proved again why he's important to this team and why he deserves a contract extension in the offseason. So I'm going to give mine to Snead, but I think that your guys' both were good options there on the defense.
And honestly, you could pick any. I feel like you could pick any player and give a case for them, just the way they play. Now, a lot of the guys on the back score didn't show up, but with pressures and things we see they were doing for the most part, you can make a case a lot of these guys could have a chance to even to win it.
I agree. Now let's talk about let's talk a little bit about what we assume is going to happen next week. Now let's not worry about the injuries because I'm just telling you right now they're not going to affect the game going into next week. From everything I've heard, it's not going to affect anything. Um, what do you guys think is going to go on? Who do you think we're going to play? That's what I want to know. Who do you think is going to win this game tomorrow?
I think all three of us had Cincinnati winning it. I know you did,
Mhm,
JP.
yeah.
I'm not sure about Caleb, but I think
I
all
had
three of us.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think all of us had Cincinnati. So I think Cincinnati's going to come in here, and I think it's going to be a dogfight. They're a much better team than the Bills. I think the Bills are just too Josh Allen centric. They have no run game. They depend on Stephon Diggs. They have nobody else on that offense besides Stephon Diggs. And when you're able to shift coverage towards him, it makes it more difficult on the rest of the offense. And they don't really have a very creative offensive scheme in Buffalo. And everything that I just said is the exact opposite with Cincinnati, right? They've got 3 really good receivers. They've got 2 good running backs. And they've got Joe Burrow, who I believe is a better quarterback than Josh Allen. Joe Burrow doesn't seem to make some of those dumb mistakes that Allen does, and I believe that if there's a minute left, no timeouts, and I have the ball on my 25, I'd much rather have Joe Burrow as my quarterback than Josh Allen. So that's how you know who the better guy is, and they're going to come to Kansas City, and it's going to be a dogfight. I think the benefit that Kansas City has is that Kansas City has a better defensive line now than they did last year, and somehow the Bengals' offensive line is even worse than it was last year.
And that's the crazy part. Whoever the Chiefs are going to play, their defensive front line, the front four, they have to get to the quarterback like they got today. They have to get. We can't have sacks falling through players' hands and like that. They have to get to him. Because if they don't, it's going to be a long game. Because we see the Jaguars certain points were just sending back and pass, not even 2 seconds firing out. They got to make sure they can get back there as quick as possible. And one thing I would like to see is maybe some more batted passes at the line of scrimmage to help. As Quentin said last week, that's an underrated stat, and that's something that should be utilized more.
Well, let's do something really quick, because how many people do we have on here? 5? Who are the guys that don't work for us right now that are on the chat? We got Scott. Are you still here? Let us know. Reset. Let us know. Carter, let us know.
If you're on Twitter, switch over to either YouTube or Facebook. For some reason, the Twitter thing, there's a bug. If you're on Twitter, move over just to YouTube. Just to let you guys know, the Giants are losing 14-0 to the Eagles.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens there.
But kind of expected. Let us know you guys are still here. Type in. Kind of didn't expect that, but.
Well, yeah, you had the Giants winning.
I did.
I mean, there's still plenty of time. It's a divisional game. All that fun stuff.
There's some about the first quarter's about the end. There's still time, but they're just kind of what I'm looking. They're just systematically just destroying them with Devontae Smith. So speed's kind of killing them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of want to see that 49ers-Eagles matchup.
That's going to be really good if that happens.
Yeah,
that's going to be really good. I know 49ers, I always put them right next to the Chiefs with finding talent. Interception by the Eagles. Never mind. When you look at the 49ers, they're just loaded. That game was going to be good against the Cowboys, but kind of see how they'll match it with the Eagles. Maybe the battle of who can outsmart who, basically playing chess. So.
Let me know if you guys are still here.
Looks like they're not, man.
All right, we want to call this one good. We'll be back on Tuesday, right, JP? We'll have our show on Tuesday, and we'll break down all the other games that happen. So, and then on Thursday, we'll specifically talk about the Chiefs, whether they play the Bills or Cincinnati, probably Cincinnati. And by then, I'll cover the press conferences coming up to that game, and we'll get a better, clearer idea about everybody. But, I think this is just overall a great win, great team win, and 5 straight, baby. Let's go.
Yep. So here's what I'm going to do. Since we didn't get to 3 sacks, but we did win the game, the jersey that I'm going to give away, I put it on Twitter, if anybody paid attention. I'm going to hold this off until next week, and we're going to have the same parameters. I'm going to do the same basic giveaway, and we'll have the same parameters, and we'll see how we fall come this week. Doesn't matter who we play. If we win, we get 3 sacks. I was going to, now just so everybody knows, I was going to put in Chris Jones getting a sack today.
Yeah, it's going to happen at some point.
I know. And I didn't do it because I didn't want to put that much pressure on people. I just wanted to win in 3 sacks, which was reasonable numbers to get. Same numbers go for next week. I'm not going to change anything. This is, if you see the tweet I put out, you'll know what jersey it is. And we're going to hold it off for next week and see if we can give it away. So, I was going to do it during the show, but didn't get enough people on here really this early because the game came on. So, we will talk to you guys again next week. Remember to go on the website, on our pin tweet, check out everything we have at Full Coast Sports. We did drop a new 2 new bobbleheads today. For the people out there that think they're supposed to look exactly like the player, remember it is a bobblehead. It's an action figure. And I don't know if you've ever seen any Barbies that were, modeled after a, like famous actress or a model. They don't look exactly the same. So these are collectibles. One of them they're only making 72 of. The other one they're making 115 of. So make sure you check it out. Plus all the other apparel and gifts that we gear that we have on that website, because you can get anything you want, all licensed from every sport. Just click the link on our pinned tweet on our website. No matter where you find it, it's going to be there. Click on it, check it out. We run sales. You can actually, I think they extended the Chiefs Focus 15 to get 15% off, so make sure you do that. And we'll talk to you guys again on Tuesday. Peace out, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
See you next time.